Okay, Sensei, thank you for introducing me. Let's start with Gasho. Namandals. 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 Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Around the end of the last year, actually, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Around the end of the last year, my wife and I got a very bad flu. And so we are in bed about one whole week. So first 3 or 4 days of this year, we couldn't do anything. But now, now we are okay. As Sensei introduced me earlier, I originally come from Japan, from Nagano, Japan. That's where they had the Winter Olympics. So anyway, I came here a long time ago, probably before you were born. 71.
Liar.
1971, I came here. I was 25. So it was 47 years ago. So you can guess my age. And now I live in Berkeley, and Berkeley is a very famous city. And they say, even if communism disappears from China and Cuba, it will stay in Berkeley. It's a city of eccentric people, and I feel very comfortable. When I was in Japan, my father was so upset, so angry with me all the time, and he told me, "Nobu, how can you be a normal person? You're so different." So I consider myself to be very eccentric, and actually my father didn't like religions at all. He hated Christianity and Buddhism. And so when I started to study Buddhism, he was so upset. How come you are not born in a Buddhist temple? And studying Buddhism doesn't make sense. In Japan, only people who were born in the Buddhist temples study Buddhism, become ministers. And the general public is not interested in Buddhism. Not like here. This Buddhist institution here is patterned after Christianity here. So you have Sunday services, people go to temples regularly. But in Japan, average Japanese go to temple once a year. But anyway, I now live in Berkeley, and very nice city. Very for eccentric people. It's a nice city. If you are a conservative person, maybe you are not so comfortable living there. But anyway, I didn't come here to talk about Berkeley. So anyway, today, we have this, 2 set of materials. One is one-page material, is for diagrams. For boxes here. Then I have 8-page material. Okay, basically, these 8-page materials are explaining what mentioned here. When you look at these materials, as the Bishop Movavi mentioned, kind of intimidating. But I'm not the complicated person. I'm not interested in complicated ideas in Buddhism. So basically, what I'm going to explain is not so complicated, but it looks complicated, when you look at these materials first time. Okay, so I'm sure by the end of this today's session, I'm sure you have a good idea as to what Jodo Shinshu is all about. So I try to explain the core of Jodo Shinshu teachings. Okay, anyway, the title, I want you to look at the title or the topic of our seminar, and the life of awakening. This is a general theme of this series of seminars we've been having the last 4 years. Actually, this is the fourth seminar commemorating the relocation of this temple, not 50th anniversary, the relocation. So actually, seminars started 4 years ago, and this is fourth and I think last year. So the Takata Sensei wanted us to talk about 4 issues over 4 years, and the 4 issues are the Kyo, Gyo, Shin, Sho. Okay, four issues. Kyo, teaching, practice, and Shinjin, and Sho, realization. Okay? Kyogyo Shinshu is the title of Shinran Shonin's writing, title of his main writing. Okay? So the Takata Sensei wanted us to discuss this teaching in the first year. Next year, the practice. Third year, last year, Shinji. And this year, the fourth item, realization. Okay? Realization or attainment. Okay? Attainment. Teaching and practice are important, but if you don't get to the attainment, see, it's meaningless. So teaching and practices are there to guide us to the attainment, realization of Buddhahood. Okay? So anyway, this year we are going to talk about the kind of goal, attainment, realization of Buddhism. Okay? So the word the life of awakening. Actually, four important issues. Last one is the fulfillment of human life. Okay? That is the goal of Buddhism. Okay? Goal of Buddhism. If somebody asks you what's Buddhism, what does Buddhism teach you, then you could answer, Buddhism teaches us the fulfillment of my life. By studying Buddhism, I can say, I give my life meaning. My life is not wasted. Okay? That's the whole purpose of studying Buddhism. So, but anyway, we are going to discuss the kind of goal of Buddhism today. But in order to talk about the goal of Buddhism, we have to restudy what the teaching is all about, what the practice is all about, what the Shinjin awakening is all about. See, without talking about this, talking about the goal doesn't make sense. Okay? How we get there is very important. We are talking about happiness, or going to Hawaii is so nice, life in Hawaii is so comfortable, nice. Talking about happiness in Hawaii is one thing, but another important thing is how can we get there? See, without knowing how to get there, and talking about happiness in Hawaii, that doesn't make sense. See, so the important thing is process of getting there. See, fulfillment of human life is a goal, but how can we realize? See? So you need teaching, practice, and awakening. Okay, Kyogyo Shin, and then we can talk about realization, okay? Attainment, fulfillment of human life. Okay? So anyway, that's the theme. Okay? So so the first half, maybe this morning, I will focus on this how, okay? Teaching, practice, and awakening. Then in the afternoon, I will focus on this goal, attainment. Okay? That's what I want to talk about. That's the kind of my explanation of the theme of our retreat seminar here. So anyway, I want to talk about the fulfillment of human life. And I want to talk about fulfillment of human life because it is the most important issue for us. So I told you that the fulfillment of human life is very important, and all of us desire to live our lives in a meaningful way, and we desire to complete our lives. None of us are happy with living our lives in a lukewarm way or meaningless way. Reverend Rijin Yasuda is a very famous Shin teacher in Japan, and he defined sin in Buddhism. And somebody asked him, "Sensei, what is sin in Buddhism?" And he answered with one word. And he said, this Chinese spelled Chinese character, this. He said, this is a sin in Buddhism, the kuka. Kuka. Kuka means empty. Empty. This means pass one's life. Pass one's life. So the passing one's life in an empty way. See? So living one's life in an empty way, okay? Meaningless way. And he said, this is the only sin. This is the only sin in Buddhism. He said, we don't have to talk about sins like killing and stealing. Christianity talks about all kinds of sins. Okay? But in Buddhism, we don't have to talk about so many sins. It's necessary for us to talk about only one sin. This is a sin in Buddhism. And he said, wasting our life is the only sin in Buddhism. And he said, human being has such a wonderful existence. Human existence is the only place where we can meet a Buddha and listen to his teaching. See, in the service we said, we usually say, hard is it to be born as humans? We have already been born as humans. See, hard is it to hear the Dharma, but we have already heard it. See, so the first sentence is, see, human existence is such a wonderful existence. Why is it wonderful? Because it is the only place where we can hear the Dharma. See? So human, to be born human is so wonderful. If you are born as animals, how can you hear the Dharma? See? So we have such a wonderful existence. And having such a wonderful existence, if we do not, appreciate the Dharma, hear the Dharma, and end our lives, that's a tragedy. Okay? And that's the only sin in Buddhism. That he called kuka, and spend our life in an empty way. So he told us we shouldn't have this kuka. We shouldn't live our lives in this kuka way. And I believe he is quite right. If we think carefully about our lives, this is the most important issue in our lives. See? Then one question arises here. Okay? The question is, then how can we live our lives in a meaningful way? What enables us not to waste our lives? What makes us live our lives in a fulfilling way? So this is a very important question. So the answer to this question is that we must meet with a teaching, a true teaching that can give us the completion of our lives. We must meet a Buddha, we must hear the Dharma. teaching. That, I think, is the answer to this question, what enables us not to waste our lives. Then people commonly say, all religions are the same. Probably many people say that. All religions are the same. They teach the same truth. We commonly hear people saying that. What is my answer to this question? Yes, that's right. Those words are right. But they are right in a very shallow way. Certainly, all religions have similar teachings, and they all talk about truth. There cannot be 2 or 3 different truths. There must be one ultimate truth for everybody. So in that sense, saying that all religions are same is correct. But in my opinion, only few religions can give us the true fulfillment of human life. And teaching-wise, many teachings say the same thing, but very few teaching can actually give us the actual realization of the fulfillment of human life. Talking about it is one thing, but actually experiencing it is another thing. Okay? And I believe that Shinbuddhism, Jodo Shinshu, that Shinran Shonin taught, is one of those few teachings that can give us a true completion and fulfillment of our lives. I think Jodo Shinshu can give us the actualization, not just talking about the truth, universal truth or something like that. The Jodo Shinshu is a teaching that can make us actually experience this in our personal lives. That I think is a very important part of it. And so the Shinran Shonin often use the words, this shinjitsu, true, and real, or actual. Shinran Shonin uses this, this character, this is true and real, shinjitsu. So Shinran Shonin knows that many religions, many Buddhist schools, traditions talk about this truth. Shinran Shonin studied many traditions, many different doctrines in Buddhism. Okay, but all doctrines talk about truth, dharma. See, there's no doubt about it. But Shinran, on Mount Hiei, she spent 20 years. Okay, studying and practicing all kinds of Buddhism. See, so all teaching taught him what the Dharma was. But Shinran was so frustrated. See, I know what is Dharma, what the Dharma is. I learned these doctrines, but somehow I cannot experience these ideas in my own personal lives. I don't feel liberated. Intellectually, I have learned that it's not realized. It's not realized, not actualized in my life. See, that was a tremendous frustration he had. But what happened to Shinran when he was 29 years old? Having spent 20 years in academic institution, on Mount Hiei, he practiced all kinds of practices. And so frustrated. But when he was 29, he met Honen Shonin. And then he realized, now I know what Dharma is. See, this Dharma is actualized, realized in my life. So he was so happy. So that's the beginning of Jodo Shinshu. See? Jodo Shinshu, actually, this is Shinshu, same idea. Okay? Jodo Shinshu is not merely the doctrines. Okay? Jodo Shinshu is the teachings that made Shinran, see, actually experience this. See, what Dharma, actually Dharma, I will talk about it, Nembutsu. See, Nembutsu is that which made Shinran experience the Dharma. See, it's a very simple, not just one word, Namandabus. But Shinran, like meeting Honen Shonin, hearing Honen Shonin say Namandabus, and understood the meaning of it. Oh, now I know. See? So the Shinran Shonin started to talk about the Shin and the Jitsu. See? So Shinran uses this word. So many teachings talk about the Dharma, says, oh, all religions are the same, all Buddhist teachings are the same. They talk about Dharma. Yes, that's true. See? But can those teachings make us actually, see, experience those ideas in our own personal lives? That's another issue. See? That's the same thing about talking about happiness in Hawaii. See? But if you don't know a specific way to get there, what's the use of knowing about this, see, wonderful attainment and happiness and enlightenment? See? They're talking about that, learning about ideas. See? How? See? Actualization, realization. That's what very important. And Shinran never experienced realization and actualization of the Dharma in his own lives until he met Honen Shonin, until he met Nembutsu. See? That's why I say, okay, Jodo Shinshu teaching is very important. If I draw this picture later, see, Shinran Shonin was going, pursuing some kind of Buddhahood, in his own way. But Honen Shonin came from opposite direction. This small boat was going this way. Okay. It's called the self-power, trying so hard to realize Buddhahood on Mount Hiei. But when he was 29, he met Honen Shonin. Honen Shonin, big boat was coming from opposite direction with such a powerful kind of speed here, okay, like this. Then this was totally overwhelmed by this power and taken into this direction like this. See? This happened here. See? This is an experience. See? And Shinran Shonin called this the teaching and practice. See? Actually, teaching practice is all Nembutsu. See? Nembutsu. He met teaching and practice in Honen Shonin. This is the true teaching, true practice, and Nembutsu. Okay? Then he was awakened by this power. It's called the Shinjin. Then this is the show, realization. See, I'm talking about this. See? This is actual realization. He studied about Buddhism, Dharma, on Mount Hiei. See, just this. But by meeting Honen Shonin, he embodied this, the Kyo, Gyo. See? Kyo, Shin, Sho. Realization. Shinran Shonin experienced Kyo, Gyo, Shin, Sho. Practice means power of the Buddha is called practice. It's not our practice. Okay? Buddha's practice, Buddha's power. This is Nembutsu, Namandabutsu. Teachers, Honen Shonin was Namandabutsu. His voice was Namandabutsu. Shinran, come, you are going that way, but come to this way. See, this is Nembutsu. See, come to the Buddha. See, come to the Buddha's wisdom. Don't use your own. This is also power. This is self-power. See? So this is Shinran's experience when he was 29. See? So he learned about these ideas, about truth on Mount Hiei. Spent 20 years, but he's so frustrated. But when he was 29, he actually met a person, see, who embodied the teaching and the Buddha's power, Gyo. Kyo. Shinra meant Kyo and Kyo. Okay? And Shinjin awakening, Kyo awakened Shinjin, then his whole direction was changed, 180 degree turn. Powerful life, being one with Nembutsu, being one with teaching and Dharma. See, Nembutsu life started. Like, this is what I say. See, the actualization, realization, such a powerful life. So, Kyo, Shin, Shin. See, this is how Shinra Shonin talk about this. Now, after I met Shonin, I know what is true and real. So he said, this is a true and real teaching, true and real practice, true and real Shinjin, true and real realization. See? So these are the 4 items we've been studying last 3-4 years, including this year, 4 years. See? Kyo, Yo, Shin, Shin. See? And this time we are going to study this powerful life, the dynamic life Shinra actually experienced. See? That's why I said, it is true that all religions talk about the truth. No doubt about it. See, Christianity, Muslim, and Tendai, Kegon, Nichiren, see, talk about Dharma, truth. But can we actually live those ideas, the Dharma, in our own lives? See? What enables us to actualize the Dharma in our lives? See? How can we do it? What a specific way? See? That has to be explained. But Jodo Shinshu teaches us through Shinra's own experience. Okay? Shinra is so happy. See? So he couldn't help but share his own ideas, experience with other people. See? That makes Shinra different from other teachers. See? So just saying, all religions are saying, academically, yes. See? But Shinran wasn't happy. He studied all kinds of academic ideas. See? He practiced all kinds of practices, but he was not so happy. See? So the greatness of Shinran is that he already experienced it, and he couldn't help but share his own experience with other people. That's why he wrote, okay? Many people talked about birth in Pure Land as something that one will experience in the future. See? Like some teachers say, if you say Namandavutsu, you will be born in Pure Land after you die or something. Even his teacher, Honne Shonin, taught that way. But Shinran Shonin didn't. Shinran Shonin already experienced birth in Pure Land. This is the world of Pure Land, Dharma land, the world of the truth, the world of Buddha's wisdom. Shinran was already born into it. See? That is the birth in Pure Land. Shinjin is the birth in Pure Land. See? Birth in Pure Land is not the goal, okay? It's a beginning. Okay? Like an entrance into the college. It's a birth into the college. See? True life begins here. This beginning is called birth in Pure Land. Okay? If you think birth in Pure Land is the goal in Buddhism, that's wrong. Okay? Shinran Shonin says, when you are born into the world of Dharma, true life begins. Okay? But many Pure Land teachers, including his teacher Honne Shonin, they haven't experienced it. They talked about this, birth in the future. See? If you believe in this, then you will be born in Pure Land after you die. Shinra doesn't talk about it. He already experienced such a wonderful life, new life. Old self died. New self is born. See? That is the realization, actualization, okay? So Shinra is different. So many teachers in this vocabulary they use are identical, okay? So sometimes we feel they are talking about the same thing, but Shinra is different. Shinra is talking about the things he had already experienced. See? That's what I have been explaining. See, that's why learning from Shinran is so important. And see, when we study from Shinran, we receive power. See, such energy. See, because he was living such a powerful life, filled with joy and gratitude. Okay? But when we study other teachers, they say, oh, if you believe in this, see, you will be born in Beyond in the future after you die. See? A tremendous difference. Tremendous difference. Okay? So I want you to know that this is the main difference. And that's why I say, see, we can learn the way to realize the fulfillment of human lives from Shinra-shou. Okay? Because he is experienced. But anyway, no, that I'm kind of giving it kind of outline, okay? Outline what we're going to study. So anyway, we have, like some time, so we don't have to rush to study. So I'm going in a very, slow way in a sense, giving you the kind of perfect, outline of what we are going to study. Okay, so today I want to say that among all Buddhist traditions, Shin teaching, Shin Buddhism is one of the few teachings that can give us the true completion and fulfillment of human life. And I want to do so by discussing Shinran's view of the 4 types of Buddhism. Okay. So that 4 types of Buddhism, that's what you have here in this one-page material here. Okay, and I had this idea about 4 types of Buddhism. Shinra-shou often talk about 4 types of Buddhism. Okay, and the 4th one is Jodo Shinshi. Okay, last one, 4th one, and such a beautifully made diagram here. Do you know who made this diagram? Idea comes from from me, but Roy Nakahara made this. Roy made this diagram for me.
Yeah.
7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, and this is such a kind of easy way to study. Studying 4 types of Buddhism, it's kind of complicated, but using this diagram, yeah, I think it's, now I don't think you will think it's easy to understand, but, if I explain, it's a very neat, schema here. But anyway, we are grateful to Roy for making this wonderful diagram. Okay, so this, Shinran, this diagram is based upon Shinran's view of 4 types of Buddhism. Okay? And if you want to see the textual sources, I think you have collected works of Shinran, the thick book, Temple is selling it. Okay? You should buy it. Kind of difficult text, but sources on top, second line, yeah. That's where Shinran talks about the 4 types of Buddhism. Okay, so the Shinran Shonin classified all Buddhist traditions into 4 categories, 4 types. I believe that Shinran, the important thing is Shinran personally studied and practiced these 4 types of Buddhism and eventually came to the conclusion that Shin Buddhism, the 4th type of Buddhism here, was a teaching that gave him the true completion and fulfillment of his life. When we study these 4 types of Buddhism, we can clearly see the unique features of Shin Buddhism, and we can clearly see how Shin Buddhism differs from the other 3 types of Buddhism. Okay? So anyway, so let me move to the next. So by the way, I want you to look at the first page of this 8-page materials. Now I'm in this, first section, introduction. Okay, so I first talked about this kuka. See, so I spelled out these things so that you don't have to make notes. It's kind of easy way to study. Okay, so anyway, I talked about A, B, and then now we are going to move to this C. Okay, the traditional way of explaining Shinran's view of the 4 types of Buddhism. Okay, so before I give you this, how Shinran explained these 4 types of Buddhism using this diagram. Before I do that, okay, I want to give you a traditional way of explaining these 4 types of Buddhism. It's a very interesting way. Okay? Yeah, as I spelled, the traditional way of explaining Shinran's view of 4 types of Buddhism for insects in a bamboo tree. So I think it's kind of in the Edo period, but I don't. Shinran Shonin did not use this example of 4 insects in a bamboo tree. Okay? So the scholars, maybe 3 or 4 centuries after Shinran Shonin, maybe 5 centuries after Shinran Shonin, came up with this kind of simple and interesting way of explaining the 4 types of Buddhism. Okay? So traditionally, when study these 4 types of Buddhism, we study these insects in a bamboo tree. Okay? So let me introduce you this traditional way of explaining this. So the picture, this is the bamboo tree. Okay, this is the bamboo tree. Kind of transparent. Okay, this is transparent. Okay, this is the bamboo tree. So there are 4 insects. Four insects in this bamboo tree. Okay. 1, 2. Yeah. Anyway, so this insect wants to get out of this bamboo tree. Okay. Insects, is a kind of represent or symbolize ourselves, human beings. Okay, and this is the word of suffering, samsara. Okay, samsara, or blind passions. See, blind passions, anger, greed. Anger, greed. We have all these negative things. Okay, anger, greed, etc. We have many blind passions, something negative. Okay? And because of blind passions, our life is samsara, okay? Endless suffering. See? So all in Buddhist view, Buddha's eyes, all human beings live in this world of suffering. Okay? And because of blind passion, yeah. So the human beings wants to get out of this. Okay? That's the whole purpose of studying Buddhism. Okay? So this basic teaching of kind of leaving the world of the suffering, okay, or world of samsara, is compared to this for insects, humans, the world of the suffering. They want to get out. There are 4 ways of getting out of it. See, that's 4 types of Buddhism. Okay? One is called this insect. First one, see, and that's first one I expressed this diagram, but this first one is this, see, called the lengthwise. lengthwise from down up. See? This is it. So this insect goes this, eat this bamboo, this kind of meat part of the bamboo tree, okay? This is the empty place, okay? And this is the kind of, meat of the bamboo tree part, okay? So this insects, see, gradually, slowly eat this way out of it, see? So, see, it takes time, this is, biting a little bit like this. Makes it. So lengthwise, okay? Lengthwise. And this is called gradual. Gradual. Okay? See? So this lengthwise Shinran Shonin called the path of stages. Stages. See, path of stages means that if you get here, you get rid of this holy person. You can become holy person. See? Stage. See? Because you get out of this, defilements, this world of defilement, the purity, world of purity. See? So the path of stages, and this is also called self-power. Self-power. Because see, this person is trying so hard, see, using his own resources. See, I can eliminate my, see, gradually getting rid of this, see, better way of self-improvement, see, self-purification. See, this is so. This is the first one. Okay, first one is called lengthwise. See, lengthwise departure. Lengthwise means path of sages and self-power. Okay, length. This means okay, this way. Okay, from down to up, and using our own resources, self-power. Okay, lengthwise. And departure means gradual. Okay? So departure means gradual. Okay. Okay. Next one. Okay. Next one is also called the lengthwise. Okay. Lengthwise. But this insect here. Okay. This is insect here. This goes this way, but this insect is a little smarter than this. Okay. Smarter because it takes a long time. Okay. So this doesn't spend time chewing on this meat part of this bamboo. This flies like this, maybe a little chew, and fly like it. See? That's a quick part. See? So this is called the second one. Okay? This one is the second one. Okay? Second one. This is called lengthwise transcendence. See? So you understand lengthwise saying, okay? This is the path of sages. Actually, Shinran uses this word. Okay? This example of insects and bamboo tree is somebody else's creation. Okay? Scholars in the Edo period come. But these ideas are Shinran's ideas. Okay? Lengthwise departure. That's Shinran's concept. Okay? This is lengthwise transcendence. Then transcendence means instant, immediate. Okay, so that you understand. Same length, two types of lengthwise. Okay, self-power. Okay, the way to become a saint. Okay, way to become a sage. Sage. Okay, sage. But the difference is gradual. Departure is a gradual way to get out. See? But transcendence is a quick way to get out. See, that's called transcendence. See? So these are the first two types of Buddhism Shinran talks about. See? Two types of lengthwise. Then Shinran talks about two types of crosswise. See? Crosswise. Maybe better. Okay. These two. Okay. The third one. See? Third one wants to get out of it. Okay. This way. See? This way. Okay. This one. Crosswise. And actually I should this insect here, here. Okay? See? So this is the third one. Okay? Third one. And this fourth one is Jodo Shinshu. Okay? This is the fourth one. And this is called crosswise too. See? Two types of lengthwise and two types of crosswise. Okay? So Shinra Shonin talks about two types of Pure Land teaching. Two types. And crosswise means, okay, crosswise means Pure Land teaching. Okay? Pure Land. Or talk about Amida or other power. Pure Land path. So they contrasted it. Path of sages. This is called path of sages, two types. And this is called Pure Land path, two types of Pure Land path. Shinato, two types. But see, this is called crosswise departure. And this is the third one. Okay? The fourth one is called crosswise transcendence. See? So this is this stuff. Yeah, you understand departure and this is the same. See? This is a gradual, this is the immediate. Same way here. This is gradual. This is the Jodoshu. See? Jodoshu. Honen Shonin tradition is called the Jodoshu. Here in LA you have Jodoshu temple. There's an academy there. It's a second street, Jodoshu Institute is there. Okay? So that's very close to the Jodo Shinshu. Okay? Jodo school and Jodo Shinshu school. But the Jodo means Pure Land. Okay? So two types of Pure Land school tradition. As Shina talks about two types of tradition. Okay? But Shina called the Jodoshu crosswise departure. Jodo Shinshu, crosswise transcendence. Okay? Yeah. And what's the difference? Okay? So the insect here, okay? Insect here, see, just like this, gradually eat its way out. See? Crosswise like this. Take some time. Okay? To get it. It's a synagogue. And here it's called crosswise. Crosswise means power from this other power. Other power is working, see, like a magnet. See, magnet. See, helping power, supporting power is coming from this other side and coming, see, like a magnet. See, see, this is kind of calling and inviting, and because of this power, it starts to move this way. So this is a mixture of self power and other power. Okay? But here, just self power, this self power alone. Okay? But crosswise means, see, power is working here. Okay? See, because thanks to the power that is helping us, okay? Supporting us, through this power, see, this insects can move. But this is still depending on its own resources. I can eat this way out. See, so it's still kind of being attached or proud of one's own abilities. See, I can go use my resources. So, see, so this and this half self power and half other power. See, that's how Shinra Shonin explains this. Okay, that's why it's a gradual departure, slowly, gradually. See? But here, this is nothing but this. See? Shinra called use the word echo. 100% through the power of Amida. See? Power of Nembutsu. That's what I explained a little while ago. Shinra Shonin met the power. See? That power alone, the teacher's power, Nembutsu's power coming from opposite direction, and Shinra wants to go this way. See? Wants to go this way, use his own resources. But see? His reliance on his own power was challenged and taken 100% power coming from opposite direction. See? See, this is what I said. Shinran was going this way, but Honen means power. See, power coming from the opposite direction. That alone, see, made 180-degree turn realized. That is this Jodo Shinshu. See? But because Shinran Shonin get to this experience at when Honen Shonin, he had to go through these stages. See? Particularly, he spent 20 years from his age 9 to 29 in the first two stages. See? He was trying so hard, meditating, keeping precepts, trying to become, see, Buddha. Then gradually, see, then Shinran gradually moved to this way. See? But anyway, this is the traditional way of explaining 4 types of Buddhism. See? 4 kinds of insects on bamboo tree, and see, and they want to transcend the samsara. See, and so the 2 ways of transcending, lengthwise, self-power way, path of sages. 2 ways of transcending it. This is the crosswise, and see, this is the Jodoshu, Jodo Shinshu. This is a very difficult teaching to understand. See? Because Jodo Shinshu, see, many people think this is Jodo Shinshu. See? This is not so difficult to understand, but this is very difficult. Why do I say? Because this insect doesn't move from this place. See? But this power, this insect receives, makes this insect transcend samsara in the middle of samsara. See? This is Jodo Shinshu. So it's not an easy teaching to us. See, if we try to get out of bamboo tree like these insects, using our own power, see, then it's easy to understand. But the Shinran Shonin teaching is that, see, so this Shinran called is inconceivable. If you use common sense way of thinking, you cannot understand it. Because, see, your life doesn't, you have same blind passion. None of your blind passion disappears. I have same old anger, greed. No change. No, I cannot eliminate them. They are still with me. But they don't become any problems for me. Thanks to the power I receive. That they transform the meaning of this blind passion. This is what Shinran Shonin teaches. See? So that, probably you have some kind of idea about Jodo Shinshu. You think Jodo Shinshu must be this kind of teaching. But if you listen to what Shinran Shonin teaches us, see, true Jodo Shinshu is something very different from what we've been thinking about. See? So anyway, if I say something like this, you may be confused. But I think this diagram is very good. This example or the diagram I prepared can teach you the uniqueness of Jodo Shinshu. Jodo Shinshu is very different. See? These first three types of Buddhist teachings are matches our common sense way of thinking. See? But the Jodo Shinshu doesn't agree with our common sense. That's why Shinran Shonin used the word inconceivable. Okay? Inconceivable. Amida's power is inconceivable. Amida's wisdom is inconceivable. And Shinjin experience is something inconceivable. She uses the word inconceivable birth in the pure life. See, the word inconceivable is a very important concept for Shinran Shonin. Okay? That means it goes against our regular human thinking. See? So I really want you to understand this. Otherwise, we confuse these two teachings. Shinran Shonin talks about 2 types of pure land path. Shinran calls this Jodoshu. Jodoshu. Shinran calls this Jodo Shinshu. Jodo Shinshu, there are many Jodo Shinshu followers in this country. Okay? There are many Jodo Shinshu temples. But unfortunate thing about Jodo Shinshu in this country is that we don't have many good books, no good English books on Jodo Shinshu. Okay? In Japan, we have dozens of wonderful books, not Jodo Shinshu books, but here we have very limited number of English books, and so many people, kind of confuse Jodo Shinshu with other forms of Buddhism. See? So some people confuse Jodo Shinshu with these teachings, or see, many people confuse Jodo Shinshu with Jodoshu teaching. See? These two traditions use the identical vocabulary. See? These two traditions. If you go to Jodoshu Institute there, second street, they use the same word, Amida Buddha, Pure Land, Nembutsu, Shinji, Birth and Pure. See? Identical vocabulary they use. But the meaning of these concepts in Jodoshu and Jodo Shinshu are totally different. Totally different. I explained the differences between the birth in Pure Land after death, not the Jodoshu idea, but Shinran talks about birth in Pure Land. See? Here now, see? Old self dies, new self is born. Okay? That's what Shinran Shonin talks about. See? So concerning the birth in Pure Land too, see? There are two types of interpretations. See? But because of the lack of the good English books on Jodo Shinshu, people confuse these teachings. See? It's kind of sad. There's no practice here. Yeah. No practice here. But here, these are all practice. All self-power means this is a practice. This is a chanting practice. There's no practice here. Shinran Shonin says, Nembutsu is not a practice. Shinran says in Tanisho. Shinran says, Nembutsu is not the good, or the practice. See? So that's why, we always associate some kind of practice with religion. That's why these three teachings are easy to understand, because, practice is, practice makes us better. Practice makes us go to pure. That idea is easy to understand. But Shinran says, no, just receiving, hearing Nembutsu. Yeah. Not the saying, it's a hearing, understanding Namandabu. That is important. See? So, in a sense, these are very active. They're very active. This is the half adapa, half self-power. Okay? See? This is a chanting practice, but this is a very passive way. See? Jodo Shinshu is a very passive way. You just become hearer, listener. See? And so in Jodo Shinshu, they say, hearing alone, nothing else is important. Okay? When Shonin or Shinran Shonin tells us, you don't have to meditate, you don't have to engage in chanting practice. Okay? You just hear what the teachers tell you. Hearing alone, nothing else can make changes. Okay?
So that entails emptying yourself to hear. Is that kind of...
Attainment is given to us. Okay? It is not the attainment you envision, and usually, I want to go there, so I can go there, not through my own powers. See? Peace of mind, I become a Buddha, a nicer self. Okay? You think about some kind of ideal in the future. And usually we strive to attain it. Okay? But Shinran Shonin did that in the first three stages. But he came to the point, no, if there's a true goal, it is something given to us. Okay? Whatever you try to attain, you have this religious ego working. So long as religious ego taking initiative, you cannot attain true goal, because true goal is something challenge. That challenges our ego. Okay? But we have such a strong ego attachment. We don't even aware of having attachment to ego, okay? Religious ego, okay? That's the difficulty. But Shinran came to the conclusion, see, all my efforts are based upon ego, religious ego. Then I can never attain to authentic goal. Okay? If there's authentic goal, there's something hidden. That's what happened to him when he was 29. By meeting the person, the teacher, the Nembutsu, see, power of Nembutsu, then hearing it, receiving it, that alone realized it. See, that's why you don't have any of your active power to try to get out of it. See, you just kind of become a perfect listener, receiver. Okay? This is what Shinra does. That's called Shinjin. And Shinra says, Shinjin is the most difficult thing. People say, this practice is difficult. Shinra says, no. Becoming a listener is the most difficult thing. Why is it difficult? Because we are so much attached to our own self-power. We cannot even see the limitation of it. We are overestimating our own. See? Without knowing, we are blindly loving ourselves. Yeah, I'm just giving you an outline. Okay? This is showing there are 4 types of Buddhism. Okay? So now we are going to study the differences. See? But all these ideas, okay, practice, first 3 approaches are practices, all different types of practices. Okay? Then eventually Shinra moved to the 4th stage. Okay? And Shinra says this going to the 4th stage was very difficult. Okay? So anyway, yeah, your questions are very important questions. Okay? Those are the questions Shinra himself had. Okay? So that's why Shinra came up with these 4 types of Buddhism, and he explained the differences. Okay? Like, what's the difference between lenswise and crosswise? What's the difference between departure and transcendence? See? All these have to be explained. Okay? Then you understand. Okay? So anyway, we can talk about these things. I can give you answers, but my answer will probably confuse you. But I want to kind of explain. First type of Buddhism, the second, third. Then you understand what I'm saying, or what Shinra wants to teach us. Okay? So be patient, okay? Be patient, okay? That's what we are going to study today, okay? And, but what I want to say here is that Jodo Shinshu is not understood if you are using your common sense way of thinking. Okay? If I answer your question, you are using your common sense to understand Jodo Shinshu. Okay? You cannot understand Jodo Shinshu using common sense. That's why I said Shinran Toku. Jodo Shinshu is inconceivable. Okay? If you use common sense way of thinking, you can no way understand Jodo Shinshu. Okay? If you understand what I said that, okay, I said that before, then you have to start to doubt your common sense. See? But doubting common sense is different. But Shinran said, human common sense is based upon ego. Okay? So whatever we think about Buddhism initially is all not deluded, it's all provisional, not to be authentic. See? Preparatory stage. But that common sense cannot make us attain real goal. Okay? That's what I've been talking about. Shinra Shonin spent 20 years in trying to understand Buddhism using common sense. See? But he came to by meeting Honen-shon. Oh, Honen-shon, Nembutsu is inconceivable. Whatever I consider under the name of Buddhism, all deluded or mistaken notions, because I've been using human wisdom. Human wisdom cannot reach the Buddha's wisdom. Buddha's wisdom is inconceivable. See? That's why he said, oh, the only thing I should is here, listen to what the Buddha tells me. See? Why don't I just stop using human wisdom and have deep respect for something unknown to me, in very profound wisdom, Buddha's wisdom is beyond me. So the only way I can approach it is hearing it and receiving it. See? So at one point in Shinran's life, there's a transition. The transition from the self-power reliance to other power reliance, from human wisdom reliance to Buddha's wisdom reliance. Okay? That's a big leap, okay? Transition. If we don't have insight into this transition and keep maintain the human wisdom and try to understand Jodo Shinshu or Buddha's wisdom, we cannot. That's what Shinran wants to say. See? So studying Buddhism is a very dangerous thing in a sense. You know, I should say, studying Jodo Shinshu is a very dangerous thing because it challenges and even negates our attachment to common sense. Okay? So I want to emphasize that point at this point. See, that's what I've been saying. Okay? Shinran said, Shinji is the most difficult, hearing is the most difficult. See? Seeing the limitation of common sense or human wisdom is very difficult. See? Because we are so blindly loving our regular thinking. See? Try to understand Buddhism by using our conventional. We've been studying, all academic things in grammar school, junior high, high school. We've been using this common sense way of education, see, bettering ourselves, see, becoming a good Buddhist. But Shinran says that's all provisional state. That mentality, that kind of common sense cannot make us understand Shin Buddhism, true Buddhism. See, because we are using human wisdom, dualistic wisdom. But Buddha's wisdom is non-dualistic wisdom. See? Buddha's wisdom transcends dualistic wisdom, human wisdom. See? So the regular wisdom we've been using in academic education cannot make us understand Buddhism. See? So there's something very difficult in explaining. See? So studying Buddhism and studying academic things like science, totally different issue. Buddhism is a teaching about self-determination. We must doubt ourselves. We must doubt our common sense way of thinking. Okay? That's what Buddhism is all about. Okay? That's what Shakyamuni was doing under the Bodhi tree. Okay? And Buddhist meditation means doubting ourselves, doubting our conventional way of thinking, common sense way of thinking. See? That's what the Buddhism is all about. Zen meditators are doing that. See? So the teacher tells us, examine yourself, examine your mind. See? Don't be attached to your dualistic mind. Don't be attached to human mind. See? Buddha's mind is that transcendent. That's what the Buddhism teaches. 100% concentration on examination of our own mind, of our thinking. Okay? We just cannot use common sense or conventional way of thinking to understand Buddhism. No. Okay? It's Shinran called it provisional states. These are all provisional states. This is the true Buddhism. Shinshu means true Buddhism. Okay? So it's a big leap from first three stages to the fourth one. See? That's the Shinran called the Shinjin experience. Okay? He called this inconceivable birth in the pure. See? So, but anyway, that's I'm glad you came up with this question because crucial point that we have to understand the transition from the third stage to the fourth stage. That's a very important stage. Okay, that's the Shinran. That's the core of Jodo Shinshu tradition. Okay, so anyway, I was telling you that it's very difficult to understand Jodo Shinshu because people in this country have a kind of arbitrary understanding of Jodo Shinshu because of the lack of good English books. People could come up with any arbitrary interpretation of Jodo Shinshu. Some people combine Jodo Shinshu with Zen Buddhism. Well, I see many people confusing these two types of teaching. So today I want to explain. Shinran spent so much time explaining the differences between these four types of Buddhism. Shinran. So that's called Jodo Shinshu learning. Okay. So let's break it. Okay.